stick around to the end of the lesson because we've got a great giveaway for you this month. Hi, this is JP Morgan and Lars Lindstrom. We're here with Trends from the Trenches. We've got some great stuff for you from WPPI. We've got some fun things to talk about. Lars has been working on a documentary. I know he's going to want to mention something about that. And I just got back from a shoot in Utah where we shot some great stuff up in the mountains there in the snow, which is always fun when you're using cameras and lights. It was really kind of interesting. And so we're going to get started here. But I'm going to start off with the first question someone asked us from our last was about the Mirror camera.
Yeah.
You got the new price point for the Mirror camera. And so we're going to start with that thought and get it out there.
Okay. So yeah, the price points came in, and I wasn't really anticipating they would do a different model. And it's not so much, I mean, the cameras range from, I think it's $35,000, $45,000, and a $55,000 option. And what really bothered me about it was that they didn't include any new actual hardware features. It's all software upgrades. So you're talking $10,000 upgrades to unlock some of the software features. And it just, when you kind of hear that kind of thing, it just makes you a little bit upset and kind of turns you off a little bit. And that's exactly what happened. So I started to do some cost analysis and started to look into it. And I had 3 feature documentaries kind of fall into my lap. And I was looking at what camera we were going to want to shoot. I could have bought the one Amira and used that as our go-to documentary camera, but a lot of them wanted 2 camera shoots, setups. So we're doing a lot of interviews. And so I looked at my different camera options, and decided to buy 2 C100s from Canon instead. Built-in XLRs like the Amira. It's got a great sensor, and it's the only thing I don't like about it is the AVC HD codec that it writes to.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
It's the only thing that's weird about it is when you bring it in on your computer, if you don't have some sort of plug-in or software installed, that you have to bring it into some software to look at.
Yeah, you have to haul it into Premiere or something to take it. I had to haul it into Premiere to look at the stuff we shot on our last lesson.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because it shows up as one QuickTime file. You double-click on that, and then you can see all your clips.
And it says private on it.
Yeah, yeah.
First time looking at it going, what?
It scares you a little bit.
It did scare me a little bit.
Because you never know what's going to happen if you open a folder called private.
Yeah. What, Lars?
Yeah. Ah! But I'll be honest. I bought one of those Atmos Ninja external recorders. It's supposed to be a 10-bit 422 ProRes recorder, 220 megabytes per second, compared to the 24 megabytes per second. So in theory, 10 times more data recording to this thing. I'll tell you what happened though. I thought it was going to be the greatest thing. I did some tests, brought it in, pushed my colors a little bit, and I didn't notice any difference.
You didn't notice any difference?
At all. And I even showed, because I thought maybe I'm just not doing this right.
So you expected to be astounded by this thing, and it didn't.
I was, because I wanted to push the colors and see what we could do. And in some tests, we even found more grain.
Oh, really? So you're picking up grain in that?
In the Ninja. Anyway, but I thought it was just maybe me. So I sent the footage to the director and the producer, and I said, I'm not going to tell you which one is which. You tell me which one you like better. And both of them said the C100, the native codec.
Really?
Yep. So I said,
so is there any advantage then to the Ninja?
If you're sending this to a high-end coloring facility, they're going to appreciate it because there is, if I were doing this in professional color grading software, I'm sure that they'd be able to push things and get more information out of there. I'm positive of it, as a matter of fact. But for what we were doing...
Is it any easier to work with? The files are easier to work with?
422 is, it's just...
Oh, it's all 422?
Yeah,
okay.
and they're very easy files to work with.
Yeah.
But
you got another piece of equipment,
exactly.
you got to hook it up to the camera,
so
it's just a hassle.
And the hard drive space. I had 400 gigs of hard drive space compared to, I think it was 40 gigs.
Well, yeah, the Kodak on the C100 is like, we shot all day and it was like under 16 gigs.
It's highly efficient codec.
Yeah.
So that's nice. It's just looking at the files that can be kind of annoying. I love, in my 5D, being able to just go through and say, hey, here's a file, here's a file, here's a file. And likewise with the 422 codec. But, so that's the only thing is the AVC HD. But I'll tell you what, the C100s are awesome. They're awesome.
Well, I'm going to let that be a segue into what I thought was the most exciting thing at WPPI. They have the new, well, it's not that new. It came out in August, but it's the first time I really got my hands on the 70D. Now, the 70D is basically like the 7D, but one step up. The major upgrades to it are, first off, it's got an amazing pixel autofocus system where it's focusing right off the
dual sensor.
Yeah, it's just, but it is amazing. You turn it on, you're in live video mode, and when you tap on something on the screen, that's where it focuses. And I was playing with it. Doesn't matter how deep or how close, wherever you tap, that's where it focuses. You can freeze it on that, and as you run around, it's going to hold the focus on that object. If the object's running towards you, it's just going to track the focus right in to where it gets as close as it can focus. That, I think, was absolutely astounding.
So it's a touch screen?
It's a touch screen.
Okay.
So you touch the screen to move the focus on the back if you want to use it that way. I mean, you can go to manual focus. I mean, still, you have that option. But
So the idea is then that they're going to start offering an upgrade for your Canon C line of cameras, the cinema line. So the 100, 300, and possibly the 500. I don't know if they've announced it yet.
all they've announced is a C100 that you can.
Today they announced the 300.
Oh, did they really?
They did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can now get the same, but it's kind of like what you're talking with the Amira. I'm going. So I called Canon today. Said, hey, so I want to buy a new C100. Is it going to have this focus as part of the package? She said, no, that's an upgrade. I'm going. Come on, really? You can't. I mean, you have this new focusing feature. It's just a software update, and you can't give me that.
I don't think it is. I think they have, because if I want that upgrade, I have to send the camera.
Yeah, you'd have to send it in,
and they have to change out the sensor.
But why not just have it?
Or they have to put something in front of it. I mean, there is something physically. There is a piece of hardware that they have to install on the camera. So unlike the Amira, so I still agree. If that's a new thing and people love it, then just include it in the future of the cameras.
Yeah, charge me $500 more. Fine. Don't make me buy the camera and then mail it back to you to fix it. And then,
right. I'm hoping in the future they just include it with the camera. They factor that into the cost. Here's the camera. You can turn this on or off.
Yeah.
Rather than, this thing where you send it back in.
Yeah, my cell phone's going off because I didn't turn my cell phone off.
What was it? First day on set? Look at this guy.
First day, rookie. So anyway, I was just thrilled. Now all of a sudden, because I'm looking at that 70D, it's got a pop-out screen, it's got the focusing feature, my eyes aren't what they used to be, anything that helps me with focus, I'm in love with. So I'm going, plus, in live view, this is for still side. In live view, when you try to take an image with live view on the Mark III or any of these cameras, like 5 days later, you get a shot.
It's throwing it way back, and then it's throwing it way front, and it's just making all sorts of noise, and it's doing all sorts of funny things.
It's the most ridiculous experience ever. This new one, bam, it's immediate.
Wow.
And it'll do a stream of images when you hit it. I mean, it's really nice. So they've improved that so you can do stills out of that live view mode, which is really nice.
Cool.
I mean, it's very nice. It's a high megapixel, I think it's like 21 megapixel camera. This flip out screen, a lot of things about it I thought were very impressive. But when I found out you get that same focusing on the C100, I'm going to buy a C100.
Really?
I don't know.
You know what?
I'm thinking I'm going to buy a C100, but here's my prediction.
Okay.
I'm not going to drop my $5,000 on the C100 yet because I think within the year we'll have some kind of a 4K camera from Canon that will shoot both stills and video, and it'll have this focusing feature in it. And for me, because I shoot both stills and video, I'm just holding out for that 4K option.
I wasn't sure you were in the 4K market.
No, I know that's coming. I know it's coming. So I think it's just time to. I am, because I'm realizing the stuff I was shooting in Utah. You got a horse, it's running. If I could lock onto that, it's a horse. It's
I just think it's like I was talking about 4K, and then you're talking about a horse that's running.
Well, I'm getting there. It's going to be relevant.
Okay.
You got a horse that's running. I can shoot 4K, and I can start pulling stills from that. And with that focus that's going to pull, I mean, it just makes sense. Anytime I can get stills out of the video, I'm starting to feel more and more in love with that thought, even though it's not a perfect science. I mean, you lose a lot. A lot of fashion guys are shooting 4K, because you can get, the talent's moving around. You can pull frames from that. It's just a great mix, that world. So.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep holding out for 4K. Keep thinking.
Yeah. I just the workflow for right now just isn't quite there. And for me, for video, I've got 4K cameras, and they're cool and they're fun. But on a given day, I will go out and I'll shoot 5D, or I'll shoot C100, and maybe I'll shoot red. And they're tools, and but there's never any real, because my output's always going to be 1080p for right now, until we get like an H.265 or a VP9 codec from Google that's this is the format that people are going to be able to view their 4K content with. For me, there's not a huge incentive to invest highly into 4K.
It'll happen before the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
But again, we'll see. If at Christmas time people are buying 4K like crazy TVs, you'll see that change come. So anyway, we won't get too far down the 4K path here.
Yeah, we've been there before.
Yeah, we've been there before. We've done that.
It's a dark place.
It's a dark place.
Yeah.
A dark place that takes up way too much storage, quite frankly. But the C100 and the focusing thing, I may just buy a 70D just because it's just so stinking easy to focus and use. It really is nice.
So the crop sensor doesn't bother you too much?
It does bother me. That's the thing that bothers me the most about it. And I asked the guy at Canon booth, I said, hey, are they going to do this on the Mark III? And he goes, wouldn't that be great? Going, you're worthless, man. I don't know anything.
I hope he watches this show.
I hope he does.
I hope he does.
I want him to know how worthless he was when asking that question.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, that's
so. But I think everyone, if it proves, the reason they do this on a camera like the 70D is to just see does it work?
Is it valuable?
Is it valuable?
Yeah.
Is the market going to respond to it?
Yeah.
And then if the market does respond to it, they'll improve it and move it into another camera. They have to. So
I agree. What did you think of the C100 footage?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, the color was it was very nice. It was frustrating to me because when I went to open the Kodak private, couldn't open it. I'm going, what? And we finally, I had to go to Premiere to look at it. I just wasn't that easy workflow-wise for me to look at it and to view the footage, and that bothered me a little bit. But I thought the color was great.
Yeah, the dynamic range for me is just what's killer. That extra 2 stops of latitude.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge.
Huge. You never realize until you bring it in and you go, wow, I'm just retaining all this information here and here. This is fantastic.
I know this, though. I know this. I will not allow myself to cross over that dark, dark bridge where I am no longer able to handhold these things and carry them around and work with them. The reason the DSLRs, the 5Ds made this so accessible is it's just a one-man band kind of workflow.
Yeah.
You can shoot, and it's just so great. And so I don't want to get this to where I'm back to I need 3 people to make this thing work. I'm just not going to go there. I don't care how amazing they are, because in the end, I can get amazing stuff and I can tell amazing stories, and I don't have to have this huge camera. I'm never going to buy a C500. I'm just not going to do it because it's just too much camera. I don't need it.
The C100 is 2.2 pounds. So it's a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier than your 5D. And I felt it.
Did you?
Because I put it on, I've been flying it around on my Glidecam 2000, and which I thought was going to be impossible. But
Technically speaking, they would tell you it is.
It is, yeah. But what I ended up doing to make it work is I took the audio attachment off, but I still needed sound so I could match up and pluralize because I was doing a 2-camera C100 shoot. One was on a tripod or shoulder rig, and the other was flying around. My fix was I put a little shotgun mic on it, and it's just a pretty terrible shotgun mic, plugged it into the camera, and it was really lightweight, and that's all I cared about. Just to get a reference, because I had a lavalier and a boom on my other camera, the DXLRs. So just so I could pluralize it, that's like the new time code, is just sound.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no need for SMPTE or anything like that. It's pretty weird, but
you got to have the soundtrack on the camera.
Yes. So actually, what I just did, I found on Amazon these tiny little. They're just called laptop microphones, and they're just these 1/8 inch inputs, and they kind of twist up, and that's it. It's just a tiny little mic.
So you didn't use the Aston? You used these?
No, I used the Aston, but I just bought these, and I just got them in the mail.
Okay.
And I bought 4 of them just in case, because I want to use 2 of them for my Reds and 2 of them for my C100s just in case.
Yeah.
And just so I can use pluralize for everything.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And just get a reference. And they're awesome because they weigh nothing.
Yeah.
And it just helps relieve some of the load on that Glidecam on the Glidecam 2000.
Yeah. So you were able to fly that thing around?
Yes. So I had to add 2 more weight washers at the bottom, and I had to extend it a little bit further.
I suppose you put a cinder block underneath. You could fly anything.
Oh, but I'll tell you, I'm just going to throw this out there on Internet World. If anybody wants to come and give me a back massage or a shoulder massage, that would be fantastic.
You might not like what.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I'll tell you what, it's been, my muscles are getting bigger.
Are they?
Because
I was noticing.
Yeah.
I was just saying, you know.
But it's a lot heavier, and it's not so much that it's a lot heavier, but when you have it out here and you've got it for an hour, it's significant.
Well, anyone who doesn't understand that, try to screw in a screw overhead for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and after about a minute, you're going, I can't do this. That's the same thing. You got your arm out here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it's been fun. But you know, you're getting the shot and you just want to die. This is why I like this film kind of exercise. I hate going to the gym and I hate lifting weights because it's just dumb. You're just in this sweaty, gross place and the music's terrible and it's like puddle of mud on the radio and you're just going, I have no motivation to be here. But when you're getting the shot and you've got to get the shot and it's beautiful and your arm and shoulders and back, everything wants to just quit, you can't because you've got to get that shot. And that's my gym.
So it looks like this: Arnold Schwarzenegger, Pee Wee Herman. Schwarzenegger, Herman.
Yes, but that's the deal is for me. The inside deal is when I get the shot, I switch hands.
So do you fly with both hands?
No, I get the shot and then I hold it with this one, and then look for the next shot, and I have to hold it out so it hurts a little bit, just so just so I don't look like, Arnold and Pee Wee. Yeah.
Anyway, you know what I have not said anything about? We have a new set. We built our Trench from the Trenches set. Actually, it's for all the TSL segments that we're doing, but it's our steampunk set. We built this for a shot we did forever ago. But we had the parts and pieces. We rebuilt it. Caleb and I put this all together. It was fun to do, and it's just a fun set. And next time, we might even have another surprise. The set might even do more amazing things by next time. But right now, it's our nice steampunk set, and we'll use this for our slanted lens segments for a while here. Maybe a year, maybe less. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Anyway, it was fun to put together, fun to do. So, okay, other topics.
The D4S.
Yeah, talk about that, because I was at the show. I didn't, I'm too much of a Canon guy. I didn't spend any time in the Nikon booth going Canon. Nikon. Okay, yeah, nice to see you.
Yeah, we won't let it get shit.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know too much about it other than the D4S. It's a new Nikon camera, boasting an ISO. We always talk about ISO and how incredible,
Well, that's what's going on right now.
80,000 ISO upgrade firmware for the C line of Canon's cameras. Well, the D4S is apparently 409,000 ISO, which is mind-numbing. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, how effective, Although I just heard a cinematographer speak at WPPI, and he made the comment you would never have heard when I started in this industry. He goes, 50th of a second for your shutter speed, because you're doing 24 frames a second, and you pick the aperture that you want, shallow, depth of field, and then you roll the ISO until it looks good. We never have heard that. You never used the ISO. It was always, ISO was the first thing you picked, 100 ISO, 50 ISO, because you wanted the film to look good. You wanted it to be, but we're at that point now where you can roll the ISO, you can make it happen with the ISO. So.
It's crazy. With the I feel like I've been shooting nonstop the last 2 weeks with the C100 cameras, so that's why I keep bringing it up. But I try to lock in the ISO at 850. And there were some cases where I had to bump it to 12, 25, and even 3200 ISO. But 850, and then I've got 2, 4, and 6 stop ND filter that I can just kind of roll through, and if I'm outdoors. But 850 was nice. I try not to move it from there because that's where the color space. Because every digital camera still has a magic color space.
Absolutely.
ISO. But I think that is because I didn't feel bad pushing it to 2500 or 32.
That's unheard of. That's
Yeah.
incredible. When you talk about ND, I was in the Tiffin booth, and I've seen these filters before, but they have a great ND filter that's about $150, and it goes from 1 to, I think, 8 or 9 stops.
9 stops, yeah.
Anyway, these Tiffin filters were incredible. I mean, $150, that's a pretty good price. I've seen these other places are like $500.
For a good variable ND.
For good variable ND. So that's a great, I haven't seen one yet. They're going to send some to us. Going to check them out. I'm going to do a whole series also. Stuff I used to use all the time when I started in this industry, using different diffusion material, diffusion filters. They've got some great line of filters. The Pearl Finish, the Black Magic. They've got all those, and we're going to do a test and show all those and what they do. Can you get that in Photoshop? You absolutely can get that effect in Photoshop. I asked Jolene that question. Jolene goes, "Oh, there's no doubt I can do that in Photoshop." But when you put a nice Black Magic or something, Black Magic, a Pearl, like a 1, on someone's face, if you're doing weddings all day long, it just takes the edge off from their face. You don't have to retouch 150 images. You've already kind of gotten rid of the major issues. And for video too, it's a great piece of equipment.
Save your time in rendering. Just throw a nice little filter on there.
Absolutely. So we're going to do tests on those and show how they compare to each other. And I think that's worth looking at because, it's funny, though, to me, as we go to 4K I mean, all that happens is that there's...
Some
Jolene hates it. Jolene retouches for Morgan Photo Retouch. She's a world-class retoucher, retouches for Fox, all the TV shows. And she goes, I just hate it. I can tell when someone shot on the Hasselblad. You know, they've got this major images with incredible focus. She goes, you can see things that the human eye doesn't even look at, you know, and now I've got to go in there and get rid of all of the stuff that they've captured.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hasselblad actually has a setting where you can soften the lens a little bit, and you need it when you're doing stuff.
Soften skin tones.
Soften skin tones, yeah. You really need that because otherwise it just, you know, things are way too sharp. But it will soften the highlights, and so it doesn't kill your shadows. So your hair will look fine, but the face will just start to soften a little bit.
Tiffin's got a great filter I usually shoot with on the Red, because the Red's got the same thing. You got these hyper crisp 4K or 5K images. And there's one called the Soft Effects Black Pro Mist.
Black Pro Mist are really great.
Yeah, but it's a combined Soft Effects BPM, and I mean, throw a quarter of that in front of your Red, and you'll just get just enough softness, and it'll just kind of smooth out those skin tones and kind of create nice specular highlights. And I love it. I think it's probably my go-to filter for the Red.
Well, that's great. Well, we'll look at those. We're going to do a lesson on those and show the comparison. It'll be something fun to look at and kind of talk about. So, also, when I was up in Utah, I shot a camera comparison. I took a 1DC, the new Sony 7R, the Nikon 800, the Mark III, obviously, an iPhone and an iPad. And we shot all the same scene with those cameras. And I'm going to put those, we're going to do a lesson on that topic. Show the images of what you shot, and then I'm going to put all those up and let people try to guess which one was shot with which.
Can we get a sneak peek? Not a sneak peek, but I want to just a little preview on your thoughts.
On my thoughts?
Yeah. Or is it going to be?
No, I should. I'm gonna save that thought, but it is fascinating.
We'll wait till the camera's off.
I'll just tell you this. If you took the 1DC and you stacked 4 filters on it, a Black Pro Mist and maybe about 3 others, it's going to look very similar to one of the other cameras that we used.
The iPad.
Or maybe. Anyway.
I had to throw it out there. I had to.
I'm just going to make this quick statement. Jared, my son who writes for us, is in the gaming world. He works for Blizzard. He said, if you don't think virtual reality is eventually going to affect photography, he said, you're crazy. He said, take a look at something called Oculus Rift, virtual reality. He said, it is just astounding what they're doing now, where you wear a small headset and as you look around, you're in a 3D world where you're in the battle scene, you're in the castle, you know, whatever. He said, but he feels like eventually that world is going to start to affect photography. And I'm not sure exactly how that's going to be, but I think he's, in some ways, because it relates a little bit to the Google Glasses, you know, that you get this view, and so in that view you can start taking images, you can start pulling images. I don't know, somehow those worlds are going to collide. He feels like they're going to collide, and he's pretty smart about these things. He works at Blizzard, he's pretty knowledgeable about what's going on there, but I don't know anything more than that.
This is the first time I'm hearing about it.
So send in some comments about that. If you know about, you know, the virtual reality and how's that going to affect or relate to the photography world, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear your comments about it because it's an interesting world, something we should probably talk about. I will say this. I saw a thing on the TV this morning before I left Vegas. This guy put a camera on a rig above his backpack, and it wasn't a GoPro. I didn't get a chance to really see. I'd like to check this out more, but he recorded him hiking 400 miles of national park trails in the United States. And so you can go to the National Park Service and you can see the trail you're going to hike with this guy. So he's basically doing for the national parks what Google has done for the whole world, you know, but he's now out there walking these trails and posting these. So we're going to eventually have this ability to see everywhere. And how does that relate to photography?
It's cool.
It's cool.
You know, I think, and I keep realizing it more and more every day, that video and photography is the new cool thing. I mean, it has been for a couple years now. This is not new news by any means. But you just kind of wake up one morning and you go, everybody wants to do video editing. Everybody wants a cool camera. They want to get action shots. Everybody wants one of those octocopters now. It's just cool.
I want one of those so bad, man.
Me too.
We have to go in together and buy one of those because
You want to?
I do. I really do. A serious one that'll fly a Mark III.
It's going to be about $10,000.
I know. But I'm so in love with that thought. And I mean, well, anyway, we'll talk about that off because we can make a fortune with those.
Real estate.
With the connections. There's so many ways to make money with that. Anyway, back to some of those thoughts here.
There was another one.
What were we talking about?
Oh, mountain biking. I just got into mountain biking.
Really?
And, yeah, I did.
Oh,
and
that's
it's
incredible.
Well,
I just got over it.
I've been doing it a few times a week, and it's a rush. It's so fun. But I can go to YouTube, type in any trail, and somebody will have filmed it on their GoPro.
Yeah.
And so I can watch the trail and go, that's a really sharp turn. I got to look out for that one. Or I don't really want to climb for 3 miles, so I'm going to take a different one. So it's like this idea of cameras just not being able to take cool video or cool pictures, but as a resource for education is fascinating.
Well, video, you're right.
Yeah.
Video truly is the visual frontier right now. I mean, it's been going on for a while, but it's still in its infancy. We're moving everything from stills to video. Everything is being moved from stills to video. So all the things that we used to, well, here's a cool few pictures of my hike to the top of Yosemite. Now here's a video showing you the entire hike to the top of Yosemite.
And here's a funny thing. I've had now 2 clients for my wedding videography ask me if I can just shoot their wedding and if they can just pull stills from the video as their photography. And my advice is no.
No, don't do that.
Don't
that's
do
bad
that.
advice. Yeah, that's good advice. Bad idea.
Bad idea. It's a terrible idea. But there it is. People are starting to think that way. That you can let's just shoot a bunch of video and pull a bunch of stills.
Well, that goes back to the traditionalist in me, and that is that if at a wedding you don't have images that just represent you and who you were and the people that you're there that you love, you just missed out the whole point. This does not make you a rock star for the day necessarily. It's although everyone feels that way, but make sure you get some good images that just represent your entire family that was there. In fact, I saw this is such a great idea. A lot of great business ideas. This one lady, I cannot remember her name. I will find her name and we'll credit her. I'll put her site up because she was really smart. I liked her a lot. She's very enjoyable. She took a family picture, and in the family picture, she purposely put the 16-year-old daughter on the side, and then about 2 years later, she retouched out the 16-year-old daughter, and she sent the family picture to him again saying, in a year, your daughter's going to be leaving home and your family's going to change. It's time for a new portrait. And they're going, the mother calls her up crying, going, we've got to get a family picture. That was genius, man.
It's just like one of those monthly things, if you can just keep up on it. Just put a calendar, a little reminder in your calendars.
I heard so many great ideas about marketing at the WPPI. It was obvious to me that the people who are making money in that industry are just spending a tremendous amount of time marketing. But in doing that, it's fun marketing. It's really targeted right on marketing. So there are a couple ideas they had there. One was you just have a portrait party. Like you do a Tupperware party. All these ideas, and I do not mean this to be in any way.
Tupperware party? That's nobody's done a Tupperware party for years.
So what is it recently that people do
it's
like that?
It's like Avon or the makeup stuff or Pampered Chef. But the only reason
I've never heard of Pampered Chef.
The only reason I know about Tupperware parties is because I did a commercial for Tupperware making fun of the 80s Tupperware parties that people used to have.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not but it's a party, a portrait party. And you call a mother and you say, hey, if you will get your friends to come to your house, we'll photograph all your kids in their Halloween costumes or in their whatever. And the sitting fee is $100 each, and we'll give them a free 8x10. And then what she does is she says, I tell the mother who's going to set this up, your sitting fee is for free, and I'm going to give you a package that's worth $300 or $200. And if you get 6 friends who will come. So now the mother sets it up, having a portrait party at my house. All the kids are going to come in their Halloween costumes. And, I mean, just really smart.
Wow.
She is very, very active on Instagram about her life and about things going on in her studio and about images. And so she said one time she had an opportunity she wanted to buy a piece of property. She had to come up with $10,000 in a couple of days. And so she just sent out on Instagram, if you want to pre-book your senior portrait for next year, I'll give you $100 off the setting, but you have to pre-book and pay by tomorrow. And she raised it $10,000, and she had booked all of her several months away.
That's awesome.
But the reason that works for her is because she's got a very active Instagram, which is her market, teenagers, parents of teenagers. She's found the market. It isn't Facebook. That's not the market for teenagers, not Facebook. But everyone talked about charities. You know, work with a charity. You know, you do a kind of thing where you donate. The setting fee is free. And if the charity will bring in 100 people to get their portrait, or 50 people or 20 people to get their portrait taken, then you donate the setting fee to the charity. And so you may have 20 people that come in and you donate $100 times 20, that's $2,000, but each one of those people will buy $500 to $1,000 worth of images. And so you've made a fortune on the charity event, but you've also helped the charity. You gave $2,000 to the charity. So everyone's helping the charity. I mean, it's a great concept.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a ton of this kind of stuff. We'll talk a lot more about this in the TSL coaching class that's going to start soon. It's a business coaching class that we're going to talk about business principles. You know what I didn't say when we were talking about the guy hiking the trail is we strapped a GoPro onto. We shot at a place called Dog and Hoss up in Utah, and there is a room that, I kid you not, 50 to 80 dogs just run wild together in this 3,000 square foot play area. 50 to 80 dogs at one time. And they're just going crazy, running and jumping. Some are sleeping in the corner. I mean, they're just having a great time. So we strapped a GoPro to the back of the dog. I took a child's harness, GoPro harness. I put it around the legs of the dog, and it worked to get it up on his head. It was just above his head. As he put his head down, you could see forward with it.
And as it came up, could you see a little bit of his head?
A little bit of his head as it came up. It was great. And there, you know, he's looking at other people, he's sniffing other dogs' butts, of course. You know, so we got some of those great shots. But then we flipped it around so we could see his tail wagging as he ran around other dogs. And of course, we got other dogs humping him. No, not sniffing. They were humping him. Pretty soon they're on top of the GoPro. But it was really cool. Actually, the shots were great. That was one of the projects we did up in Dog and Hoss in Park City. Great experience. I had a wonderful experience shooting a 2-camera interview with a lady because we didn't expect much. She didn't want to let us in. She said, well, they said you're going to come, but I thought you were just going to take a couple pictures of our dog. I said, no, we want an interview of you. We want you to talk about your dog. And she made a comment about her mother and when they bought the dog. And the way she said it, I'm going, and so I asked her, I said, is your mother still living? She said, no, she's passed away. So tell me how that related to the dog, because there seems to be some connection there. It was one of those moments where I just felt something emotionally from her, and her mother had said they should get the dog. The mother passed away shortly after they got it. They felt like the dog had been sent to help them to be able to get through the time when they lost her mother. It was wonderful stuff, and she was a wonderful lady. It was one of those moments as a director, you've got to really be listening to the subtle cues that people give you, because there are great stories there, but they don't necessarily come out unless you're paying attention and you give them time to come out.
It's funny, you know, dealing with interviews and animals. I've been doing this Llama Nation documentary in Georgia for the last week, and I quickly discovered that it's not a documentary so much about llamas. It's a documentary about the study of the people who own the llamas. And because that's, you know, I mean, these dogs, I'm sure they're cute and they're fun, but you don't want to see a 90-minute film just going, dogs, 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 dogs.
And here's another butt sniff.
You know, we're humans, and we're in our humanistic nature, we want to see other humans and kind of analyze them. And I'm sure that's exactly what you were able to capture. And that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, people love that synergy between humans and animals. Mm-hmm. Lifelong there's been a connection there, whether it's a man and his horse, you know, a man and his dog, you know, there's always been a connection between those two worlds, and it's a very strong connection. It really is an emotional connection, sometimes more so even than people.
I know.
It's interesting. So here's our announcement. We are posting all of these Trends to Trenches as a podcast. So if you want to pick them up as a podcast, it might be easier to haul them with you and just listen to them. I know we ramble a little bit. We're trying to keep this as relevant as possible. I can't keep Lars on topic. It's just hard to do.
All I want to do is talk about llamas and the C100.
Talk about your documentary. Tell us something cool. Tell us one tip you learned in shooting the documentary about llamas that would be of value. Actually, the thing you did with the sound on your C100 is pretty amazing with the little microphones. That was pretty good too.
That was so useful. I know I was worried about how we were going to be able to pull that off. You know, I have from that 1 week about 40 hours of footage with the two cameras combined, and it will probably constitute 15 to 30 minutes of the documentary. 40 hours of footage. So I think, and I kept asking myself, how can I cut this down? The answer, you can't. Because with the documentary, with the nature of trying to create a story from not knowing what's there, is you just have to be patient. That was another reason I loved having a highly efficient codec to record to. Was because, I would just let the cameras roll and roll and roll.
Just picking up anything you can.
Yeah, even if I were just moving locations, I knew my actor was mic'd up. I was going straight into the XLRs of the camera. I would just let the camera roll while I was, if you look at the footage, it's just me holding a tripod jumping around. But I just wanted to keep the camera rolling just in case they said something really valuable. So I could pick up on the audio and just use B-roll to kind of cover up the mistake. Or not necessarily mistake, but just cover up.
So you had no preconceived storyline. No, there's not a person you're following. There's not.
Yeah, there were. We decided to highlight 3 or 4 different people, and we didn't really know what the outcomes would be of any of them. So it's just kind of you mic them up and you turn a camera on and just hope. I think this first week was to kind of get an idea of where should the story go. So we had 4 people, we shot a lot of footage, and I think they're looking at the footage now, the producer and the director, and they're playing with some of the different storylines to kind of decide in the future, because I'm going back for a weekend later this month, and then about 6 times throughout the year. So we're going to start sculpting the story now. So it's interesting, they had an idea of where they were going to take it, but then after some discussion we realized this can't be a documentary about llamas for 90 minutes. It just can't.
It's like, that's a scientific film that you're bored to death to watch in science class.
Llamas used, like in Lima, Peru, they like nature survive. It's like nobody wants to
kill
watch.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's like it's the thing you just watch and you fall asleep and it's on. But no, this is a research study on the people that are crazy enough to go out and buy acres of land to start a llama farm for an animal that doesn't really do much for you. They really don't.
Although my dad claims they're great backpack animals.
Not really.
No?
They can carry maybe a quarter of their weight.
So how much do they weigh?
A couple 100 pounds.
So they can take 100 pounds. That's not very efficient.
50 pounds.
50 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, 50, yeah, quarter. Oh, my word.
So
that's not very efficient.
It's not highly efficient, and they don't, they're scrawny for meat. The meat's not very good.
Did you eat some llama meat?
I ate some llama meat. I did. It's good. It's okay, but it's not like, oh, I'm craving that llama tonight.
Can't wait to have a llama steak.
Right. So it's just, it's not about the llamas. The llamas, I just want to know about the people that go out and buy
So
them.
why do they do this?
That's what's so funny. That's what we're trying to figure out.
They're just obsessed with llamas?
They're just obsessed with this. They just fall in love with these creatures. They connect emotionally, just like these people with a dog would. But on a higher level. They're just so emotionally attached to some of these llamas. It's very funny, and I actually think it's going to be a very, very great documentary.
I can't wait to see it, man. I can't
me
wait
too.
to see it. So just talking about mirrorless cameras, I just have a couple of thoughts here. In Japan, 40% of the market is mirrorless cameras. 40%. In all of Asia, it's about 20%. In the United States, 25% in all of Asia. In the United States, it's less than 10%.
Wow. And
they say the reason is because Nikon and Canon, neither of them really have their game together with regards to mirrorless camera, which opens up a door that if one of these other camera manufacturers really does what they need to, has any money to put behind marketing, they can push a camera into the U.S. market and should be able to pick up a huge market share as the market starts to shift that way. I don't know, maybe the U.S. market won't ever shift, but it's got to.
It will.
I took it out, and Caleb here, that little mirrorless 7R, Caleb's going, whoa, it's so small. It's got a great lens on it, 24-70 lens. It's just easy to carry. Although, I shot that Sony 7A, and I tell you, the first thing that happened to me is it showed up without the cable that goes from the camera to the battery charger. I'm going, where's the battery charger? I'm looking through the manual. There is no battery charger. You hook the camera up to a block with a USB cable that's proprietary with Sony, and then you plug that block into the wall.
It's got an internal battery?
No, the battery comes out just like any other battery, but the only way to charge the battery is to plug it the cable they send you that is a Sony USB adapter that only Sony makes, because I couldn't buy one at anywhere. I looked everywhere to buy one. And I'm going, that's not a professional solution. So I had to buy an aftermarket battery charger to charge the Sony battery, you know, to put it back in the camera. So, I mean, it's just it's a petty thing. You can buy an aftermarket battery charger, you know, it's like you can't. But I just can't imagine a professional camera that costs $2,000 that you don't send a charger with it.
Really?
An external charger so you can charge your battery.
Huh.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got bad information. If I got bad information, tell me I've got bad information. But that was my experience this last weekend. That was in part of our camera comparison. I did like the camera, though. I really did. I thought the camera had the in-frame focusing. I couldn't get it to work. Huh. And I asked the guys at Sony, at WPPI, and the guy's going, no, I don't think it does that. And I'm going, I know the guy at Photo Plus showed me that it did that. Anyway, if you know anything about that, let me know, too. But, all right, so that's, we talked about virtual reality. We talked about mirrorless cameras. I got a note on here that says, early this month, Hasselblad announced the Hasselblad HV at its photo whatever point. It's put it seems to be a rebranding Sony A99.
Oh, no.
And it was.
Yeah?
Yeah, totally. They just took an old Sony camera and they slapped some things on it, and now it's a Hasselblad. You know?
Boy.
I don't know. Hasselblad's got to get in the game here. They're just out of the game. But Hasselblad's always been that way. I mean, I shot on Hasselblad square formats forever, for years, and I kept going, why can't you just make a horizontal format, man? They finally did, but it wasn't until the market, I mean, the market had been begging for it for probably 30 years, you know. So that's just, it's too slow. In this industry, in this day and age, if you don't move any faster than that, you got to pick up the pace. It's like the old Speedotron strobes. Those guys, they can't get with the direction. They can't get with, things are getting smaller because we have higher ISO. We don't need huge packs. We don't want the same old heavy packs. It's got to get smaller, lighter, faster, and they just don't quite get it. I don't know why I'm bashing on Speedotron.
I'm sure they did something too at one point.
No, I love Speed. I got a truck. I literally have an equipment truck full of 10 4,800 watt-second packs. Each pack is worth 4,800 watt-seconds. So the photographers out there will understand that nowadays monoblocks, if you get a 400 watt-second monoblock or a 650 watt-second monoblock, that's really a big deal. But these are 4,800 watt-second packs.
Things?
They're monsters.
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, they're monsters. It makes me look like I'm the oldest guy on the face of the planet.
Well, you mentioned your Tupperware parties from the 80s.
I want to go on record. I never went to a Tupperware party. I'm just telling you right now. A lingerie party, I never went to that either. That would have
Why
been
did you
nothing
bring
for
it?
the
Nobody
60s.
brought this up.
You mentioned it, didn't you?
I think.
I didn't mention it. Did I mention it? Hey, it was going on in the 60s, but I never went to one.
Just kidding.
All right. Have I got anything else on here? Now that I've sufficiently...
Let me check through my notes real fast.
Would you check and see if you got anything else there, Lars?
I don't think I have anything on my notes.
He wanted to hold a clipboard because I'm holding a clipboard.
It's the same reason I had to buy a Mark III.
Now I have to buy a C100.
You have
I can't keep up with it. He has two of them.
You have to. You got to get one.
Actually, I'd buy the 1DC. I shot on the 1DC as part of our comparison. The
you could buy-
images are so great.
You could buy two C100s.
I know, but I can't shoot stills on it.
Yeah.
I just hate that. I mean, I just hate that. I want to
about-
be able to shoot stills on
What
it.
about your 5D? Do you like just that little lever, being able to switch back and forth, and I'm doing video, now I'm doing stills?
Yeah, I do. I do. Well, I don't know. Do I use it that often? Yeah.
I've seen
when
you use it a
when we
couple
shoot
times.
when we're shooting those professional pieces with those dentists and things, it was just
Yeah.
really fast to jump back and forth.
Even with Rotor Hero. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I still do love stills. I mean, it's interesting. I love video to death. When I went to the conference and I see the things people are doing, I absolutely love video. Telling stories and the video work I love. But at the same time, I love stills too. They're just two mediums that really are exciting, and I think that somehow there's a better synergy. I don't know. When I talked to Alla about putting stills in video, she said, "Oh, that's old. You don't do that anymore." And I just think, gal, is that true?
Putting stills in video?
Still video, still images in
Okay.
videos.
I guess it depends on what your format is. You know, I think it's fine, especially for your tutorial lessons on a slanted lens.
Oh, well,
you know, it's like
it's about stills.
right.
You know?
And I don't know. You know, documentaries do it a lot, but they're even doing. You know, everybody's seen it where you take an old 20s black and white photograph and you bring it into Photoshop and you separate the layers.
Yep.
and
Doing
then
that a lot.
you make a move, and they have a 3D element. My dad's really good at it. And
Is he?
Yeah, and they're so fun.
Those are incredible.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah.
They blow me away every time.
Yeah, no, that's a step forward. So you get these old images. Now they're 3-dimensional. You get a
Now
pan move.
they're video files.
Yeah, they're
you know,
video
it's just 'cause
files,
You're
exactly.
doing. He's tracking across this. You know, there's this fence in the foreground, and there's this building in the background, and it just looks so
I
cool.
love it.
You've got the old film grain, and they're old people standing, you know, without the smiles. Like, it's just neat. It's just really neat.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, so anyway, love both those worlds. I don't know why I brought that up other than this. I know this, every time we go to one of these conferences, you see they bring in people to speak in these conferences that are like DPs and high-end, you know, video shooters, and I'm going, you know what? Don't miss the point that the value of these cameras, the 5D Mark IIIs, even the 70D, all the stuff we're talking about, even the 100C,
C100.
the C100, even that camera, is that it's meant for people who can just tell simple stories, the one-man band kind of work where you do simple sounds, simple visuals, you cut it together and you sell it to your client. That's the market that most all the people are in. You're not going to turn yourself into the next, you know, great DP, but you can turn yourself into a great storyteller that has a great product to sell your clients. And I think that's the market, and that's what they need to talk about more, I think, in these things. They need to talk a lot more about that. So anyway, I've said that before when we're talking. So now we've said everything we've said before. It's time to stop, isn't it?
I think so. We had a good run. This is going to be like a 50-minute video.
Is it really?
Yeah.
This has been almost an hour. I'm so sorry we've gone so long.
We should do some sort of prize or something for
Everyone who can make it through the end of this thing needs a prize, some kind of a prize.
let's create a secret word that they
I
can
love
if
that.
you're
Love
still
that idea.
watching, the secret word, what should the secret word be?
Afghanistan banana stand.
Put a comment with the word Afghanistan banana stand. Just work it in there somehow.
And we'll know.
And we'll know.
That you stuck to the end. You deserve a prize. You're on our prize list. Afghanistan banana stand.
Don't know what the prize is going to be. Probably just high props.
I don't know where that word came from.
You just made that up?
Yeah, no, I didn't make it up. It's from a movie, I'm sure, back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
All right, if you hung with us for
didn't
60
know.
minutes, we love you. Trust me, we do. So this month we've got an incredible giveaway for you. We've got Lens Pro to Go that's going to give away $300 worth of Lens Pro to Go bucks. We've got Spider Holster, which is going to give away their Spider Pro complete camera kit. We also have PhotoFlex that's going to give away a speed light kit, which is a great little set with 2 octadomes for your speed lights, an incredible kit to take on location. And last of all, Squarespace is going to give away memberships on their website. So check this out. All 4 of these things, go to theslantedlens.com. You can sign up there. You can win in any one of 4 different ways. So don't miss out on this giveaway this month. We've got a lot of great stuff coming in the next few months. Our business coaching class comes up real soon, so get on our newsletter. It's at theslantedlens.com. Great information about photography, photographic lighting. We hope to make life easier for you, to give you the information and the tools you need to be able to be successful in your business. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We also have a brand new webpage they just put up. A lot of great information there, easy to use. Go to theslantedlens.com. We're now posting all of our videos first on theslantedlens.com before they hit YouTube. They'll be on there for about a week to 2 weeks before they come to YouTube. So if you want to see them first, go to theslantedlens.com. So keep those cameras rolling, keep on clicking.